Hello, Merry Christmas. We are, what is it, December 17th. I can do math, 8 days away from Christmas. And I thought I'd come on and do a video about something I've talked about a lot, but I think it's an important reminder. And I feel like this will cover like all the stress and worries and questions that people have with the holiday season, is if you can take what I'm about to tell you from this video and really practice it. And then I'll give you some signs to know that you're practicing it correctly. It should make the holiday so much less complicated. It should make going into family events and really special dinners and all different kinds of gatherings is going to make it so much less stressful and so much less thinking behind the scenes and planning behind the scenes. If you can, and I know this is going to sound overly simple, but everyone and anyone who has an eating disorder knows that it's not, but I'll try to help you to have some ideas and tips as to how to acquire this thing. Now I'm going to finally say it, almost a minute and a half into my video. A mindset of abundance. And how many times have we heard that? How many times have I talked about this? But seriously, it is like, I was trying to think about like what this would be like, because you could be doing recovery on paper. Like you could be like checking all of your boxes and, you know, anyone that would be looking at like, here's what I did today. And I was so restful and I sat on the couch for so many hours and I ate all these things, blah, blah, blah. And you check all these boxes, right? But you could still totally not actually be in recovery. You could still totally not have the mindset of how am I living each moment of the day that is supporting and backing up me being in recovery, right? And so I was thinking about like an analogy that I could use for this. And I thought, imagine if you had this goal of like, I want to be a nicer person. And you're like, okay, let's see, say hello to people at the store. Okay, put my phone down when people are talking to me. Okay, and you have this whole list, right? You could check all those boxes in the day and still at the end of the day kind of feel like, I still don't feel like a nice person. I'm still thinking really negatively about so-and-so. Or I still really envy so-and-so. Or I was talking negatively about so-and-so to someone else, even though all your boxes were checked on your paper. Does this make sense? And so it's a mindset, right? If you're trying to be a kinder person, a nicer person, it's a mindset. You're going out of your way. You're doing above and beyond the checklist because you want to feel it in your heart. You want to feel it in your mind. You want to experience the change, right? You want to become a nicer person. And when it comes to recovery and abundance, you want to become a person who treats food abundantly now and for the rest of your life. I never want you to feel like you have to restrict or deprive yourself of food now or for the rest of your life. That's how you not only recover, that's how you stay in recovery. Now you might be hearing this going, are you kidding me? I can't be eating in extreme hunger my whole life. I have a heart attack. I can't do that. But the mindset of abundance for me is still there, right? I don't have to like white knuckle it and I don't have to like work really hard at it. It's something that I feel like I acquired in recovery, was this mindset of abundance, that I never deprive myself or restrict myself of food anymore. But I don't eat nearly the amount of food that I could eat when I was in recovery. And so if you're in recovery now and you're like, you know, Becky, I'm that person who's making a list of things. You know, I've got my goals written out and I've got this list. I've got like, you know, no walking to the store, and I have sit down for this period of time, and I have yada, 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 right? Eat a certain thing. I marked all my challenges. I had 8 big challenges today, blah, blah, blah. And I just don't feel still. I just am still feeling so anxious, and I don't feel like things are changing, and I'm freaking out about the holidays coming, and my aunt's going to say something about blah, 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 all these things, right? It's like, if you were truly doing everything in your power all throughout the day to teach and train your mind that food is abundant, how would your day look different? And so sometimes I'll go through this exercise with the client and say, can you tell me about yesterday? Right? Usually people squirm a little bit. It's like, if they're not really committed to recovery. If they're committed to recovery, they're like, yes, let me tell you, you know, it's like an exciting thing. But if they're not really, they know they're not really in recovery. And I say, can you tell me about yesterday? And it's kind of this squirmy thing. And then it's like kind of this almost embarrassed, kind of ashamed, like, oh my gosh, I'm so far off. Like, I guess I didn't realize how much I was restricting. But when you actually say it out loud, especially to someone who gets it, who gets eating disorders and knows what restriction looks like and knows what it takes to recover, suddenly you feel a little bit sheepish and a little bit like, oh my gosh, how did I think that was enough? I knew I was restricting, but I didn't realize that much. Usually this is how it goes, right? And then I'm like, okay, so clearly we get that you're way off the mark, and this is probably why you're still feeling like you're stuck and you're not making any progress. Now let's talk about yesterday, but with the mindset of abundance. How would things change? How would things change? And all of a sudden it's like, kind of like, they get excited, a little bit stressed out, but they get kind of excited, like, I'd wake up and I'd eat first thing in the morning, like I'd get a pastry, and then I'd probably have, I don't know, maybe another pastry, and it's like all of a sudden it's like these floodgates open and they can see how differently they would actually go about a day if they were really in that mindset of abundance. And my goal is to try to help you to make that feel tangible. Like, that's actually something that can become a reality. That is something that you can do. This isn't this like la la land where I want you to enter and then come back to your restrictive life. Like, I want you to be able to go through, and this is a compare and contrast exercise. I want you to compare the day yesterday to how you can recreate that day to feel so much different, and then acknowledge and notice how different your mind is around challenges, around going out to eat to a nice dinner, around everything. Because then all of a sudden it's like, wait, I'm in a mindset of abundance. I had a huge lunch and my parents just asked me out to dinner. That's amazing. Yes, I do want to go to dinner, and I'm going to order the thing that looks the best. That's awesome. And I'm not worried about going home and eating the house down, because I should do that. I'm in a mindset of abundance. Like, everything becomes so much easier. And also, things become more clear as to what it is you need to do. And so a client asked a really great question after we went through this exercise and said, Becky, how do I know if in a mindset of abundance versus like a mindset of restriction? Great question, right? You might think you're eating tons more, and again, kind of checking the boxes, which these boxes are more now, and you're doing more great things in recovery. But how do you know that you're really in a mindset of abundance? And there's a couple of things you can look for. So first, if you're in a mindset of restriction, any kind of event involving food still stresses you out. Anytime you finished a meal, you still feel that kind of emptiness, sadness, kind of almost dread to try to get from the time you finish that meal until whenever the next time you get to eat. You're kind of watching the clock, thinking like, okay, when am I going to eat next? You're already anticipating the next meal being challenging, and or you're already finagling in your head a way that you're going to somehow ease the anxiety by eating a safer food. You're already thinking about the future and what you're going to do with food if you're in a mindset of restriction. And usually it's linked with a lot of anxiety. If you're in a mindset of abundance, you are excited. You finish your meal and you're like, I want to eat the whole meal again. Here we go. You are feeling hopeful. You are feeling full of energy. You might have some anxiety, but I hope, if it's not, you need to eat more, but I hope the excitement and the freedom and sort of like almost the adrenaline pumping through your body is going to help mask, at least suppress that anxiety that you feel from eating so much. And if it doesn't, like I said, eat more, keep feeling more free and more free and more free until the freedom is so great that the anxiety becomes smaller, right? And it's kind of a thing that's in the background there. And then you kind of like, oh, I notice it's coming back, and you eat more. And that's kind of a quieter thing in the background. People have told me that this is an experience that they have. It's one that I've had in recovery. Absolutely. So many times I had that in recovery, where I'd kind of start feeling like, oh, eating started getting louder. I'm eating so much. Oh, I guess I'll eat more. And then it was kind of quieter again. It was like my weapon against it. It was my way of staying protected from it, the nagging eating disorder voice influencing me or encouraging me to restrict. It helped me to kind of shut down that urge to restrict. And once you get in that mindset of abundance, like I said, a lot of clarity comes and you become almost enlightened. It's like you can see what you need to do to get to where you're trying to get. You can see exactly what it is and how you need to tackle each day to rewire your mind. Not only that, but you also can see a life without it. And it's very exciting. Even if like nothing changes, it's not like, oh, I can't see a life without it. I'm going to marry Prince Charming and I'm going to be so rich and I'm going to live in a beautiful, it's like, no, I don't mean that. I just mean like you can see a life without your eating disorder, where like, I could go to lunch with friends and not have to run 10 miles and starve myself all morning, right? That should be enticing to you. And that is something that you can absolutely, like I said, acquire. And so what an opportunity. In fact, now is the best time to start recovery. Now is the best time to recommit to recovery. Now is the best time to acknowledge, perhaps maybe if you're watching this channel, you're not where you want to be in terms of experiencing that freedom. And what an opportunity with the holidays, where there is so much abundance of food and rest. That's what people do around the holidays. So it's a wonderful thing, right? You may have families that don't do that because maybe they're, there's some disordered eating or whatnot, but you want to create the kind of holiday I'm guessing you want to have in the future. And for me, those holidays are full of rest and full of really good food. And you as an adult listening to this video get to decide the future holidays, right? Starting with this one, how you want to feel around the holiday time. And then you carry that with you in January. You carry that with you. Make every day feel like a holiday. A few weeks ago before Thanksgiving, I was talking to a client, about kind of anticipating Thanksgiving coming up and family and whatnot. And she's kind of stressing out, and parents are going to make a meal for her in the morning. And then there's blah, 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 right? And I said, what you're describing here is what every day should look like in recovery. You should wake up and have a really big, challenging breakfast. And then you should have, appetizers out, snacking on them all day long. You should have a great, delicious filling meal. You should have lots of pies. Like, all of that is like really honestly what real recovery should feel like. So holidays are a great kind of like setting for you to be able to step into getting in a place where you can feel and get that mindset of abundance. So that's my message to you today, and happy holidays. All right, bye.